Hey guys, welcome back. Today we have a little treat. We're going to be doing a track vehicle, which you don't get to see too often in the wild. This is a 1944 M29C, although the date of delivery tag is missing, and based on the serial number, it could be either a 44 or a 45. This is an unrestored vehicle, and it's enjoying its post-retirement life in the hands of a military vehicle collector who keeps it mechanically up and running and does use it occasionally in the wintertime just for some fun to cruise around in. We're going to take a quick walk around and then we'll go into some details on the vehicle. Let's get into the details. This is believed to be a 1944, but the date of delivery tag is missing. The serial number does indicate it could be a 44 or a 45. It is towards the end of the production numbers, but we're not really 100% sure. This M29 was owned by a ski resort post-service. They did modify it by cutting doors into each side for a driver and passenger. It did also have a Jeep half cab attached to it when the current owner got it. He did replace the sheet metal where the doors were and bring it back up to a little bit more original condition. However, the Weasel is very rough. It was well used and abused in its life. It does have a significant amount of rust on it in places that make it kind of prohibitive to restore it, at least affordably. The entire sheet metal bottom of the hull is pretty much gone, which is why it's got wooden floors. And just an FYI for everybody that thinks Weasels are really cool, because they are, reproduction tracks are available. They currently run about $14,000 for a pair. So you take a $3,000 Weasel like this, you put $14,000 worth of new tracks on it, you got about a $4,000 Weasel at the end of it, because they're pretty much worthless without tracks. You can mend and repair, you know, within certain limits, the tracks that are on them, and this one has been mended and repaired, but there does become a point where they're kind of at the point of no return and you can't really bring them back. So M29C Weasels. These would have had a single headlight mounted to this bracket right here by the radiator opening. And this little tunnel or cover on the top here is the opening for the radiator. These should have flotation tanks on them, front and rear. A typical M29 Weasel would not have flotation tanks. An M29C would have. And these would also have a capstan winch mounted on the front tank. It should have side skirts that cover the tracks, or the track openings at the top that run the length of the machine. It should have a full canvas enclosure from front to back. The engine cover that you can see here, it should extend all the way across to the passenger side. This one has been cut out and removed for a seat to be installed. So the air cleaner and the fuel tank and all the things that would rest under there normally have been relocated for that passenger seat. It should have 3 small seats across the back panel, basically upright or vertical cushions that are attached to the back panel, and then basically 3 small canvas cushions that just lay on the floor. It should have a rear flotation tank on it, and that would also have a couple of rudders on it for steering in the water. These were originally designed to carry 2 to 3 liters mounted in the back. The steering is controlled with steering levers. It's powered by a straight 6 engine. It has a 3-speed T84 transmission and a 2-speed transfer case. These were set up with a 12-volt electrical system, and they were set up for the use of radio gear. They typically would have a loop on the back, or a pair of loops on the back, so that you could hook a rope to it to tow skiers and other equipment on sleds behind them in the snow. These things only produce 1.89 pounds per square inch of ground pressure, and the intended use for these things is to be used on snow and soft ground, and also to be able to float with the flotation tanks. These are a pretty cool little rig. They're very neat. Rarity, I think they're more scarce now. I think they were produced in pretty large numbers, but I don't have those numbers for sure. You do see them from time to time, and they are pretty neat to see. They're pretty fun to drive. The footprint is really no bigger than an MB or a GPW. In fact, it might be just a little bit shorter. just overall a neat piece of military history. I'm glad I have the chance to video it, and I'm really happy to share it with you guys. Again, this is an unrestored vehicle, and it's just here to be used for fun and bump around in the snow with once in a while. There are currently no plans to restore this, but basically to preserve it as is and keep it in running driving condition as best as possible.